138, we'll call it. Okay, where do you want to start? We're starting international, I guess. That's usually the
yeah. I only have one that I really want to talk about. This Department of Revisions. I think that's what you call it.
Department of Downward Revisions. Yeah.
No, well, this is upward revisions. This
but it's downward in terms of like good or bad.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where we gotta. That's the line we draw.
So there's new data from the FBI, and it reflects that there are a bunch of new crimes that were not initially reported. And so between 2021 and 2022, apparently 80,000 violent crimes, a little bit over that.
Amazing.
80,000 violent crimes were not captured in the statistics. And this includes almost 1,700 murders.
That's it? Is that a lot?
I guess one is too many to me, but 1,700
is so diplomatic. One, that's right. Even one is too many. That's right.
How the fuck can they go and like just totally overlook 1,700?
Because they're full of shit. Because one of the candidates is not well liked by the establishment and its organizations and its three-letter agencies. He was very loudly trumpeting the crime was up during the debates. Now the debates are done. He's having to, again, I talked about this on the show. He is having to, again, try and convince people that he was right with a three-pronged sort of attack against him, right? He no longer has the debate platform. The people who he listened to listened to his social media already knew he was right. And now he's got to kind of find a way to cross the chasm to these other mainstream and legacy media consumers to get this message out. He can't. No one in the normie world knows about this. Nobody. And that's exactly how it's meant to be. You know, what else can you say?
It's not being reported by the CNN.
Why would they? Why would they?
Yeah, 100%.
Is Jim Acosta going to get on fucking TV and say Trump was right? No. Is Brian Stelter, who's like apparently younger than Joe Burrow? That's hilarious. Is he going to get on there and fucking say, yeah, Donald Trump was right? No, he's a dummy doughboy. Is formerly great Canadian fact checker Daniel Dale, who now works for CNN, is he going to hop on and be like, yeah, sorry, I was wrong on this fact check. It actually did go way the fuck up, including violent crimes. No, he's not. He's not going to do that because they all hate the guy and they're mask off about it. And these agencies are mask off about it. And that's all there is to it. You just have to assume that the press, and now, we've known this for a long time on this show, thanks to economic data, but the data is all made up. It's to drive narrative. It's to nudge behavior. It's to do all that stuff, but it is not to, the intention is not to report facts on the ground. It never has been. Astronaut meme with the gun. Never has been.
I'd love to know how they were first captured, because if somebody was murdered during that time, how did they categorize the death?
COVID.
To not be... I don't know
what else can you say? It's not meant to be funny, but like, this is the other thing. Like, if you remember what that couple year period was like everyone was dying.
Did that murder the person then? Fuck. I don't know, man. Let's just go on.
I just want to say one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
Share this with one person in your normie life and see what they say. If you're listening and watching, Len and I are not going to
care.
I know, they're going to say that you're nuts. But they're not. They're definitely not going to be like, wow, this is a revelation. Maybe I should look at all the other data being reported. That's never going to be the response.
Look, do you think that they're going to stop and run a dominant and say, fuck this, I'm going to go down in this rabbit hole? They got so many fucking things they got to deal with between higher prices and then their job. Like,
WNBA championship.
I heard they lost $40 million this year.
Yeah, the WNBA Players Union just opted out of their deal. They want more revenue share from the viewership now that Caitlin Clark's in the league, even though that league of petty fools spent basically 18 months downplaying not only her talent, but also her marketability, including the MVP, who's African-American, Asia Wilson, calling her entitled and talking about her white privilege, even though Asia Wilson went to a fucking private school. What a fucking clown show.
I have no idea.
Let it burn the fuck down.
Have you watched more to this?
Caitlin Clark should ask for double or triple what the other girls get, both in terms of contract and in terms of revenue share. And if she doesn't get it, she should go play in Europe and take whatever European league she goes to mainstream right away. The WNBA doesn't deserve players like Clark. They deserve the Angel Reeses and Asia Wilsons, but they don't deserve Caitlin Clark. Yeah, exactly. I'm way too deep in this.
Have you watched
the chat? I'm addicted. I'm not addicted. I just think.
Have you watched more than a second of WNBA?
Len, I
want the answer.
Yes, I have. This year I did.
That's all I want to hear.
This year I did, and I have more than once put a Caitlin Clark jersey in a shopping cart online and not bought it. But I got half a mind to do it just to spite these other people. Honestly, I'm driven by revenge and spite more than anyone knows, and this is a great example of where I could really get my rocks off. I gotta tell you.
How the fuck do you even go that path? Never mind investing the time, but going down the aisles of like say a Walmart and seeing.
I mean like on an online shopping cart, not like at a store. I'm not going to Costco and looking for the WNBA jerseys.
I don't understand. Fuck. I'd rather wear like minor league hockey from like the 1970s.
Yeah.
But anyways. I'm kind of speechless right here, so I gotta, gather my thoughts. Anything else you want to talk about with respect to notable news?
No.
Whew. All right, because I got a beauty story from Canada that's coming out of Quebec. CBC story that Quebec mulls scrapping family doctors for healthy patients.
So great.
The government is looking at how to basically assign family doctors to patients and triage to the more vulnerable people up there to get it. So like people that are more sick, they'll get access to family doctors more than any other person. Studies that are being done by the government for several months so that they need to do this. So like I have nothing to say about this. This is fucking bullshit.
Guillaume's in the chat about this. Guillaume's in the chat. He's got our boots on the ground report. They said it wouldn't happen.
I want to know more about this because like. They said it wouldn't happen.
Boomer talked about it on the show last week, right? So
yeah,
Boomer said that I don't want to have a family doctor. Yeah, I was going to say I don't want to mention it, but you did say it on the air. You don't have a family doctor and haven't had one for a long time. Like,
there's currently 500,000 sick Quebecers that don't have a family doctor.
What's sick?
I don't know, but they say sick.
Yeah.
So
okay.
They say that people that have serious issues like cancer, mental health issues, diabetes, and shit like that should be assigned a family doctor first over other people.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like, if you look at this, isn't there like universal healthcare that's got to be administered in Canada?
No, we're a joke. Country's a joke.
I don't want
universal healthcare is not universal. It's not even close.
This is going to the point where it's they're basing it off of health. That's the people that are, and that kind of is the case when you go to the emergency room. Like they triage, somebody that
you'll wait forever if you're not dying. Even if you are dying, you might wait forever, actually. But if you're not bleeding, I'll say you basically wait forever.
So, anyways, let's talk about this beauty story to another one. These are just coming on left and right and center. Ontario's provincial government, they're planning on giving residents a $200 rebate check.
Hell yeah. Rebate for what?
I don't know. It doesn't say. We're going to get more details. Okay. According to the CBC, October 30th is when we're going to be getting more details surrounding this, because it looks like there's also the possibility of an early election that's going to be called, from what I recall, I think June 2026 is when we're going to be getting the election. Am I right or wrong? Or 2025? Either way, I think June comes to mind. And so there's no date yet as to when these checks are going to be coming. But October 30th, we will have more information. Why it is they're going to be sending out these checks, probably when they're going to be sending out these checks, and the amount of money that's going to be sent out for these checks. It's like a UBI type thing, right? Like everybody's going to get it. It looks like nobody's going to be discriminated. It's every resident of Ontario, from what I gather, is going to get one of these checks.
Cool.
Wonderful stuff. I don't know about you, Joey, but I'm going to be taking that to buy some Bitcoin through
100%. Bitcoin. Yeah, 100%. Why would you not? I mean, what are you going to do with it otherwise? Paper.
I'm happy we don't hear people saying I'm going to buy some MSTR. Or
donate it to the Science Center. What do you think? Like, I don't know.
They were going to close that, right?
I'm pretty sure it's closed. Yeah.
Because of
the roof? Was it the roof?
Yeah. And it's going to cost countless. I don't know what the number is.
God, the amount of whining and crying on Twitter about the Science Center closing. Who the fuck cares? Boomer in the chat. They're literally buying votes and no one cares. Yeah, that they always have, always will. Every government does this. I'm so jaded now about election cycles. I just show me the poly market odds and let me know when to buy my Bitcoin, and let's ride this thing to 150K minimum.
This whole $200 rebate check kind of reminds me with the sale or the 99-year lease of the 407 back in, I think, 1999.
Are we buying that back?
You're trying to?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be possible. That thing's a cash cow. And I don't think whoever has ownership of that, and I think even the CPP has a little bit of ownership of that as well.
Probably.
So it's just, yeah, forget that. The fucking thing about that, remember, to go back, the PCs at the time decided to lease it out for 99 years. And they did that with the intention of balancing the budget prior to the election to show, look, we balanced the budget. They didn't really sell off assets, but it was a darn fucking close to selling.
It's the ultimate cash cow. Yeah.
And they did it, and we're now suffering the consequences of it. And there's one clause in the lease, which is borderline criminal. I'm not saying it is because I'll get probably in trouble. So that's why I say borderline criminal, is that the province of Ontario cannot build a competing highway.
Wow. No way.
For 99 years, essentially, they have a monopoly over that stretch of area, and no competing highway can be built.
That's only the busiest place to drive in the entire country, probably. So
it was supposed to alleviate a lot of traffic from the 401. And just this week, I went to the zoo, in fact, the Toronto Zoo, and I saw the 407 as I was passing by. Fucking nobody was on it.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous. You look at that, and that would have been an awesome highway to help alleviate the congestion somewhat on a 401, but also maybe build out in an area of the Greater Toronto area that currently is being built out, but it could have been done sooner because it would have been serviced by that highway. To fucking give it up for 99 years for the sole purpose of winning one election. Like, that's fucking bullshit.
Show me the incentives, right, Len? That's what we say in Bitcoin.
And now I see this $200 that is being handed out. That's why I'm saying there's kind of a similarity here between the timing of it. $200, what can it really buy in the end, too? I'm sure I'm not trying to downplay it. There are people probably $200 would mean a heck of a lot.
You can't take $200 to Costco. You can barely take it to Fortino's these days. So where can you go with $200, right? It's probably in most cases 1/15th of your mortgage payment. It's, a tank of gas in your truck. It's, what else is it? I don't know.
Even if you're a family of 5.
Yeah.
And you get, say, $200 for every person in there. And you get
it's the new Call of Duty game twice.
It really isn't a lot of money.
No.
And I'm not trying to say give us more. It's just fuck, man. Anyway.
Yeah, it sucks.
Canada's inflation numbers came in. They're lower for the month of September. They came in at 1.6%. 1.6%.
That's low. Any idea what that means?
Well, we do have a decision coming out by Tiff and the crew later this week, in fact. And this could potentially add more fuel to the fire that they might aggressively lower rates. It was anticipated they were going to lower rates, 25 basis points, maybe 50 basis points. But now 75 has come and being a contender.
Some people calling for it, yeah.
Could even 100 basis points be it?
That 50 is probably a guarantee. But 75 would indicate a real problem, even though I did watch a bit of QP today and our finance minister was pumped about the rate cuts so far and seemed to be excited that another one was on the horizon. So 1.6 in inflation means that people are not spending any money. And that's either because they have to save it or because they don't have it. So, make it that, which, I'm not breaking any news to the people who listen to and watch this show, but fuck me, man. That's a low number. That's not great.
If it continues like this, theoretically, there could be a month where we could have deflation.
Yeah, maybe.
And then what happens then?
Yeah, the only thing stopping it is that energy is really low. Like, I think a barrel of oil is like $70 right now, or even less than that.
Yeah,
which won't last, right? That's going to make its way to 100 at some point in the next 2 years, and then you're going to have a real problem. But in the meantime, TIFF will get up there and just lop another, few inches off the top of the rate. Not seeing any stimulation in the housing market. A place near me, not to dox the area, but sat on the market for 2 weeks and sold for $50,000 under asking. That hardly ever happens around here. The sort of inventory in Dundas, very low as well, which is also pretty rare. It's not doing what it should be doing. I realize there's going to be people out there who are going to say, well, it takes time. There's a lag. Sure. But those inflation numbers are actually backwards facing. So it's all the economy is already hitting the rudders, or the rudders, or something's hitting the rudders. What is that saying? I don't know. But the economy is already weakening significantly to have that number as the inflation print. And it doesn't seem to me like anyone in Parliament wants to talk about what it means. They hop on the trend, the Twitter trend, that cuts are good. Cuts are good. If you have bags of assets, cuts are great. But if you don't, like most Canadians, then they're terrible. It's an indicator that things are hitting the skids a little bit. So be on the lookout, and food bank usage is going to go up. I was up in I was down by the waterfront on Saturday morning for the Step Up for Wayside, and the police chief, Frank Bergen, noted that there has been a clear uptick in the amount of people who are living in these shanty towns, and he's frustrated by it. Wayside's frustrated by it, and I think Canadians in general are frustrated by it when they see. And I won't even get into it, but what Canadians are seeing, and they don't like it. And instead they're seeing people who have lived here a long time suffer with addiction, suffer with these downtrodden conditions, downtrodden situations. And there's not really a way to get out of it like there was, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. So enjoy the rate cuts. Like Tiff said, enjoy the moment. Okay, buddy, I'll be there. No problem. What's your guess? 50? I think it's later this week, right?
Yeah, I'll throw a dart on the board and say 50, but the fuck do I know? It is, I think, Wednesday.
Canada meeting. Is it Wednesday? Okay. Yeah, me and Mike will probably talk about that tomorrow too. I'd be curious to hear his thoughts. I'm sure he's got some. Yeah, the 23rd, 9:45 a.m. Yeah. That's so funny.
They know
so they're going to cut. So they're going to cut to what then? They're going to cut to let's say they cut 50. Will that be a 4 handle or a 3 handle still? Or a 3 handle or a 4 handle still? What's the Bank of Canada overnight rate? Bank of Canada overnight rate
375
is I don't know. Why doesn't it say? Oh, here we go. It's 4.25 right now. So it'll be 3.75 if they cut 50. That's low. And so when people say, when the sort of traditional finance guys get on Twitter and want to dunk on the Bitcoin guys for loving the low rates, they always say, we're not going back to zero. That time is done. I don't fucking think so, man. Canada is heading to zero real quick. And the economy is headed to zero too, it looks like, in a lot of ways. We also just, for what it's worth, sort of an adjacent story, we dropped 2 spots in the tax regime friendliness rankings from like 15 to 17. I mean, I don't know how there's 14 places worse than us or 15 places worse than us for taxes.
Well, so corporate taxes over in Canada compared to the United States I think it's cheaper. Last I checked, I could be wrong, but corporate taxes in Canada is cheaper than in the United States.
Man,
I'd love. I mean, am I wrong with that?
Individuals, like I was looking today just for shits and giggles because I wasn't feeling well, and I'm like, what would it cost me to get health insurance in the States?
Here it is. So U.S. they pay a flat tax for corporate 21%. In Canada, it's 15%.
Yeah.
So like you look at that. I know this is just a small segment, but
super
look at
small.
That. You could just say that setting up a corporation and running it in Canada may net you more money.
Oh my god! Yeah, it won't for sure.
But this shows you like it's competitive at the very least.
Fine, I'll give you that. But the point is that we're paying a lot of taxes for a lot less services, both in terms of availability and quality, than we ever have. So, yeah, Boomer in the chat saying we're going down to 3% overnight. I bet you we go lower than that, Boomer. I don't know when, over what time horizon, but I think I'm coming around to Keith Dicker's point of view that modern economies are going to absolutely rip to zero at some point in the next year or two.
What's going to happen to food banks and stuff? Are they going to be even longer lineups?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It's going to put more added pressure if the economy is not doing well. You're going to see
not to mention that the Canadian dollar is weak. We don't grow any of that food here anymore. Like we import basically all fruits and vegetables at this point. Our dairy thing is a joke. That's like become a popular topic again, the supply management deal. Like we talked about this 2 years ago, that the problem with having a weak dollar in a society that doesn't produce anything is that imports become more expensive, but it's made much worse when, 50% of your population is not working and relying on government subsidy. Either they're retired or they're unemployed or they're disabled. There's some combination of the three. And for those people, man, like you really feel a stuttering economy and a weak dollar, a weak loonie. Yeah,
dude,
big time.
What we're saying, he's right. He's saying these food banks need to be diverse and inclusive. That's one way to help. Yeah. Could you imagine, like, they must get a ton of muffin stumps over there.
God.
And Caitlin Clark jerseys. There must be fucking stuck to the brim of those things. Right? Nobody fucking wants them.
Does anyone even want the Tim Hortons muffin stumps anymore? They're probably dog shit.
Between the two of those items, yeah.
I don't know.
Nobody wants those things. Researchers from Atlantic Canada, they've looked at data with school buses. And
I love this story too. This is incredible.
Yeah. Well, their area of the country needs to have an expedited shift to electric buses to avoid further health problems in children. And I guess we can now pinpoint the reason why kids are shitty in math. It's because of the diesel exhaust. It must be, right? Like, if this is
what health problems do the kids have? Does the report say? I saw the headline, but I obviously didn't read the report.
Okay, I can give you a little bit of detail here. So it's around almost 250,000 kids daily get moved by those buses in Eastern Canada. And they say that each bus trip could represent over half the daily Health Canada recommended exposure limit to CO2. And it was determined that the concentration of CO2 inside the bus while on the school route, would be at 518 parts per million, significantly higher than when the bus was idle at 441 parts per million. And Health Canada recommends a daily CO2 exposure limit of 1,000 parts per million.
And yet the teachers are just blowing hot air all day. That's unbelievable.
When I look at this, I mean, shouldn't they be dishing out masks to kids? Because that worked in the past, right?
Like, why don't they just put a mask on the bus?
On the tailpipe.
How hard is that?
Right? Like, I agree. So this story on its own is interesting, but if you couple it with this other one that I came across, it kind of adds a little bit more flavor to the story. He's the city of Calgary. They ordered electric buses for a pilot project, and take a guess how many buses were delivered in total, Joey.
How many did they order?
It doesn't say, but I can tell you how many were delivered.
Okay, 3.
You're close. It's 0.
Okay.
So the reason why, Joey, is because the company went tits up.
Oh, good.
And this comes after the fact the city spent money on building out charging ports for the buses. And I guess this is one way to lower CO2 emissions for the kids. You could order these electric buses, not have them delivered, and have the kids just be forced to either walk or take bikes to school in the fucking cold. Because in that part of the eastern part of Canada, gets awfully chilly. It's a damp cold that gets
you have to wear a mask. It's so cold.
And if you need more than that, like, that's one. The fuck is going on, man? The fuck.
I love it. The electric buses arc in this show has been pretty good. We've had a couple of good stories over the last 3 or 4 months. Remember the one about they had to return the electric buses because they weren't working, or there was a fault or something in the back of there's like the heater at the back of the bus. What was that story?
Oh yeah,
it's like the thing
they use diesel electric so they use diesel generators to, like,
yeah.
I love that story, to heat up the people.
That's so great. Just throw a diesel fucking generator on the bus.
It's like I love Teslas. It's like a Tesla towing a diesel generator to
there's no bottom. There's no bottom.
No, yeah. And there's so much more further down we're going to be able to find. So Calgary, like, staying over there, there's a unique listing, housing, real estate that's been listed over there. So it's an 1,100 square foot home that was listed in Calgary. And one could visualize how large 1,100 square feet is. And it's nothing out of the ordinary, except for this house has 13 bedrooms in it. Count them, 13 bedrooms. How the fuck could you shoehorn that? But that's a cash generating machine. They want to talk about a cash cow. This is, like, hypothetically, say each one of those tenants are paying, say, $300. This is almost a $4,000 a month.
Yeah.
Gross.
It's like a bungalow. It looks just like a little bungalow.
Yeah. It's not very big, but like tall, but it's not very wide either. Like, and neighbors are coming by and even scratching their head. How the fuck could you have this many people in there?
Yeah.
This many bedrooms.
Well, they had the student from the house next door, like down the street. He's like, we have the same house. And the reporter's like, how many people in your house? He's like, 5. Yeah. This guy's like, well,
like a reasonable amount.
13 in there.
Fuck. But this is what we come down to. People are just trying to squeeze every last drop out of their assets. I don't know why this person is deciding to sell it. Maybe they're under duress, financial duress, or they're getting pushed by the city for having too many people over there. Why the fuck do people even park cars if you had 13 people?
Or like
even half of them,
like you'll ruin the city like sewage pipe too, like from your house to the main line. You'll probably affect some other infrastructure in the area. If I had to guess, I don't know exactly what, but you've seen this story a million times now. And this is what, by the way, the government is trying to encourage, right? Putting more people on your property, laneway homes, extra apartments, whatever. Take a loan against your house and build something and rent it out. You'll just have to live there forever and keep working until you die to pay the mortgage, but at least you'll help alleviate the housing crisis, right? That's what we're told. God, this is just a hilarious, like, where are we in the timeline between prosperity and ruin? Like on the continuum, how close to ruin are we as a country?
Depends who you talk to. Some people will say we're like 27 point something years away or 28%. So I really don't know. All I know is I'm going to ride this out for as long as I can and convert as much as my Canadian dollars into Bitcoin as possible. And yeah, enjoy it. Like Boomer's saying, the owner of that house opted into Trump's shitcoin. Maybe that's why.
He's been buying Worldfide Liberty coin or whatever.
Did you hear about how much of a fucking flop that was?
They tried to sell 300 billion, right?
Million,
and they sold 13 million.
11
million.
You're very close in terms of the target. That represents around 4%.
Wow,
I think.
Cool.
Of the overall. So that was on the first day of sales. Like things may.
Well, I mean, is it gonna pick up?
No, if you look at the sales delivery of people that purchased, it's really flatlining after the first day. Let's be honest. How much more hype is there going to be?
None. And by the way, you can't transfer the coins either, so it's not like you can sell them. So
yes, I agree, and I don't understand. So the token is non-transferable. Then how can they determine a price?
It's meant to give you voting rights. So they've determined the price, like they set the market value, and then they sell you the coins. And after that,
you get to participate in DeFi activities like borrowing, lending, and creating liquidity pools.
Creating liquidity for someone else, maybe.
The only thing they missed here is NFT mints. Right? Like they checked off a lot of boxes. How did they maybe that'll be the next one.
I love that story. Trump, it's amazing that Trump is running a shitcoin scam. But securities fraud.
And I was working at McDonald's after this. Like, I don't think this is coincidence. Like
he's all in. The election's in 2 weeks. Do you realize that?
Hang on. It's the 6th.
It doesn't feel like it, does it? It's like it's just this one laughing, meme story after another. When is he gonna do? Whatchamacall? Rogan. He basically confirmed he's doing it on PBD's show. So now I'm just waiting for that. That's going to be the last probably big thing before the election, right? He'll probably let that go the week of.
Do you think he's going to win now? A lot of people have
Polymarket pointing to the win, Kalshi pointing to the win.
How could she?
I don't know. Nate Silver's thing, Silver Bullet, showing some real Trump momentum now too. So, not only does it look like Polymarket wasn't just a couple billionaires trying to fudge things, it looks like they were right and early, at least on the momentum. So let's see. I mean, anything is possible. There'll be tons of cheating, obviously, which we know, but both sides be trying to do it. I don't. It's like elections don't matter the way that everyone thinks they do, and we have to keep that in mind, right? Keep a clear view here. If you're a Bitcoiner, you're buying Bitcoin because you know intuitively that elections don't matter, that your vote doesn't matter, that the spending orgy is going to continue, that the overseas funding is going to continue, that all this stuff is not going to slow down. It's going to accelerate. that even if they wanted to villainize you as a Bitcoin holder, it's almost impossible to align these people because they're too busy insider trading to read or write policy. It's a joke. Like you should be stacking so hard right now because the fraud and charade is like right in front of your face 24/7, 365. The only thing you can do is buy Bitcoin.
Yes, I 100% agree. And people hopefully are doing the same thing. We're going to end up in the same place regardless of who gets there. It's just, will it be an accelerated one or a decelerated version? So are you a decel or XL? That's the two things.
Just don't be an incel. Decel, XL, no incel.
That's very good. I'm not sure if you heard, but Ontario universities, they're losing a fuckload of money as there's a lot less international students coming in, and they were bringing in tons of money along with them. It's expected in Ontario alone, the universities are going to lose $300 million by themselves.
It's not enough.
And next year, you're going to be happy to hear they're going to lose $600 million. That's the expected number.
Good.
The fuck, $600 million next year. Now,
have you been to a university campus in the last little while?
When I played the Kingdom 94, it was held just outside UFT, so I walked by.
So how many new buildings did they have there?
Very few. It's the same old ones that I remembered.
When I went to Brock years ago, like a year after I graduated, I went to my convocation or whatever. And in the year that I wasn't on campus, or like the 8 months I wasn't on campus, there was 2 new buildings erected. Yeah. And now if I look at the Google Maps view, there's multiple more buildings there that weren't there when I was a kid. Now, granted, they have more students. Mm-hmm. The problem is, Len, we've talked about this before. Colleges and universities are running so many dog shit programs for kids who are too stupid to do anything else because the pressure to go to a post-secondary institution after high school is so great, both from their family, from their teachers, and probably, if we add a third prong to that, from friends and whatnot too, in terms of like romantic prospects. You got to go to university, got to go to post-secondary. They're not giving you anything of value. And instead what you're seeing is these kids fund insane, sort of, small on-campus, basically militias in, like DEI offices and secondary chancellors and VPs of bullshit and, cookie making and basket weaving. Cut all those programs. Cut them all. Every university should be hard to get into. Every university should be minimally expensive. And every university should have top tier professors getting paid top tier dollars in small numbers. That's how universities should look. And if they don't look like that, then the value that you're getting is simply not that good. As we know with currency, as we know with commodities, as we know with anything in the real world, the more of it there is, the chances are that the less value it carries. And you're seeing that in universities now, and they're gonna have to make do. You guys shouldn't have been accepting 1 million kids from overseas over the last 5 or 6 years. It's not a sustainable business model. You don't get to choose. You don't get to completely fuck up the demographics of the country just because you want to make a couple extra bucks and name a building after yourself. Tipper or whatever that guy's name is, who runs Conestoga. Fucking guy names a building after himself every 2 weeks. Time's up, man. Time to find a real business model or get the fuck going. Find somewhere else to work.
Why can't we open up a CBP building?
We should. CBPU.
No. We're not doing the Trump route, but just simply donate to one of these existing colleges.
Oh, you want to get a wing or something?
Mm-hmm.
We might be able to donate enough for like a bench, but I don't know if we'll be able to get a wing anywhere. Maybe at University of Toronto Met, right? University of Toronto Met, the medical school, they're like doing 75% minority applicants have to pass and have to get in. Like, I get the feeling a lot of donors are going to stop contributing there. Maybe the price just went down to get a bench over at that school.
That's good.
So don't get sick, because if you get a kid from Toronto Met, you might accelerate your own situation a little bit.
And you don't want to get sick in Quebec because you're not going to find a family doctor too. So you have to be in the right province, the right time to get sick. Anyways, private jet before university, but also the ETF before all that.
We got a lot of things to work on here. Yeah.
Son of a gun. Yeah. Yeah. And there's one, didn't I come up with one more idea? The keys. Remember we were talking about the multi-sig?
Yeah. We're going to run a multi-sig service here in Canada where you keep one set of keys and then the other one I'll just punch into my notes app, and we'll do that for you. Small fee, of course, but it'll be very, very nominal, very fair. Yeah. CBP keys. Yeah, CBP keys, we'll call it.
CBP hodls.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
We will hodl. So yeah, man, I think that's it, Joey. That's 35 minutes.
Good show. It's a little shorter tonight than usual. I am starting to feel more and more sick by the minute here, so this is a good time to wrap. I'll be back with Mike Campbell tomorrow, sick or not, because God knows Mike has been bulldozing through a few serious health events here. So we're looking forward to talking to him, getting back on the program. And until tomorrow, my friends, take care of yourselves.
And don't be a cuck.